Here we have the Cranborne Audio Carnaby Harmonic EQ. Highly unique EQ. Now, a lot of people said to me, Paul, get your hands on one. We want to know what you think. And the guys at Cranborne Audio, they got in touch with me and said, Paul, we'll bring one over and we'd love to hear your thoughts on it. And so I've got hold of this whole rack, and I'm going to do the preamps as well. I'm going to do a quick review on the preamps later today. But today we're looking at the Carnaby EQ. And one thing I will say straight away is it's very, very unique. This is a really, really unique EQ. Unlike anything you would see in 500 series, I used it, I found it best when working in the mix. I found it best with drums, with bass it sounded great, kick drums sounding incredible. And I'm going to show you that all in the audio demos. I didn't find it to be brilliant as a mastering tool, but that's not to say that it couldn't sit on the mix bus and be used, you know, to give you a unique sound. I just found on a mix bus, in a mastering sense, you could go wrong with it. It wasn't one of these subtle EQs. You could really kind of dial it in quite aggressively. And that's not necessarily always what you want from mastering. But from a mix perspective, drums, my God, it sounded good. And I'm going to show you that when I do the audio demos. I'm going to show you it on drums, I'm going to show you it on bass, I'm going to show you it on a kick drum, show you it on various different sources, and you'll see just how good it is and how unique it is. Now, look, if you looked at it, compare it to, let's say, an SSL EQ, you know, they're similar kind of in looks and functionality, but this being a harmonic EQ, it's almost like the SSL could be, let's say, vanilla, whereas this is kind of, this can get dirty, this can get aggressive, or it could be quite subtle. It depends how you want to play it. But that's the unique quality of it, is that you're not going to want 100 of these across a console and use it as your surgical EQ. But what you are going to want to use it as is something where you're just going to go, right, I need something. I don't know what, I need something. Let's put the Carnaby on there and see what it does. And it will do something that you'll be like, yeah, I couldn't get that with anything else. So that's what I'm going to explain, and that's what I'm going to show in these demos. So what we have on the Carnaby Harmonic EQ is an input which goes -20, +20. I've got the sheet here rather than me looking on the front. We have the high frequency control goes from 5 kilohertz to 25 kilohertz, and that's a shelf there, and that goes +10, -10. Then the mid section is +10, -10, and that goes from 200 hertz to 6.2 kilohertz. Then we have the low band, which goes from 20 hertz to 420 hertz. Now, the one thing that is really unique with this is the OptoSync. So what you can do with the OptoSync is switch the OptoSync on, and what will basically happen is any control that you do to this side will be applied to this side. So what you basically have is, if you're using it in stereo, you have one set of controls. You haven't got to go, right, I'm going to match that and that. You've not got to match left and right. You control the right, for instance, and whatever's dialed in on the right dials in on the left, which for me, that is brilliant. That is a unique design. Now let me know, does any other 500 series do this? Because off the top of my head, I can't think of any. Now that to me is really good. So if I want to turn that gain up, let's say 5 dB, I'm just turning it up there. I'm not having to match it on that side. I'm just literally controlling this side. It's basically a link function. It's linking this one and this one, so you've got one set of controls that controls left and right. But obviously, you can switch it off and use left and right independent of each other. So let's now just jump straight in, run some audio for it, and let's show you exactly how good this thing is. And yeah, I'm enjoying it. I think it's a brilliant EQ. It's very unique, and that's going to be highlighted in these demos.
Every time we're near each other, there's so much I can't see. There's evil in your eyes. Is he being faithful to me? Every time we're near each other, there's so much I can't see. There's evil in your eyes. Is he being faithful to me? Every time we're near each other, there's so much I can't see. There's evil in your eyes. Is he being faithful to me? Every time we're near each other, there's so much I can't see. There's evil in your eyes. Is he being faithful to me? Every time we're near each other, there's so much I can't see. There's evil in your eyes. Is he being faithful to me? Every time we're near each other, there's so much I can't see. There's evil in your eyes. Is he being faithful to me? Every time we're near each other, there's so much I can't see. There's evil in your eyes. Is he being faithful to me? Every time we're near each other, there's so much I can't see. There's evil in your eyes. Is he being faithful to me?
Now, my honest opinion on the Carnaby EQ by Cranborne Audio is it's unique. It's unlike anything you will find in 500 series. And, you know, I've used majority of the EQs that you will find in 500 series, and none sound like that. Now, don't get me wrong. You can get this wrong. You can get this, setting this up and dialing in what you want, you can go way too far. You can create a worse sound. But when you find that sweet spot, like I did when listening to those drums, you know, I went from sounding terrible to sounding great, to sounding terrible, to sounding great. When you find that great sound, you can make this thing sound brilliant. And things like drums, that kick drum, added so much weight to it. And that's all because of the harmonic EQ. Because it's not just an EQ, it's a harmonic EQ. So you're adding that lovely saturation. Albeit you can go with bad saturation, you can push too hard and you can get a worse sound. But what you are getting is something that's highly unique. And that's what's appealing to me when looking at these, is that they're not just like another EQ. Because we, you know, anyone that's mixing out the box or mastering out the box has an abundance of EQs. You know, you've got EQs for days. Whereas this is totally different to anything else you've got. And I think that, you know, listening to them audio demos on various different audio sources, it's quite clear and obvious that you can get a unique sound from it. So yeah, that's my conclusion on the Carnaby Harmonic EQ by Cranborne Audio. And they're relatively affordable, £500 each. Get a stereo pair, OptoSync, you've got a stereo EQ for £1,000. It's not, look, it's not going to be, you're not going to have a rack of hundreds of these and into a desk. You know, it's not going to be that EQ that's going to be on a channel strip, for instance. It's not that EQ. But additionally to that, it's highly unique. Like if I was tracking drums, drum mix through that would sound good. That and a G-Bus comp would sound really good over a drum mix. Yeah, something like that would be really good. Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed using them, and yeah, I'd highly recommend them. But I'd highly recommend them in addition to a standard EQ. That's my conclusion.